Hey guys, so here I am, Snowbeck out in the garage. Working on the 78 still, and we were working on the T-top area, and you'll see as this video goes along, we got a little bit of bad news on the front of the T-top where it looked like I had a couple of holes. Well, you're gonna see them couple of holes turned into a bunch of holes. So I think this is so we're here Sunday. It's in May in Northeast Ohio. Believe it or not, should I be wearing a hat and a jacket in my garage in May? I turned the heat off because we had a couple weeks or so, it's been decent. Guess what? It's like 35 degrees yesterday and snowing. And it's not much better today. So, you know, in May, I shouldn't have, my whole garage is full of flowers and plants. Had to bring them all in. We spent all this money on plants and ferns and had them all around the house. And then it says it's going to snow. So they all had to come in, which, what a pain in the ass. So anyway, we're in here working on the 78, and I'll show you some things we got done with the T-tops. I'm going to add some louvers, and now we got to do some more body work that I wasn't expecting to do. The roll bars are welded in. I probably won't show you too much of that. I'll show you that next time. We're focusing on the T-tops now. And I guess that's pretty much about it. So check it out. I appreciate you looking, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell all your friends about it, and check out this video. Thanks. So you got to be very careful and get a bigger drill bit. You know, one that fits right in the rivet. On top of the rivet, and then just give it a nice little just enough to cut that rivet out. Most of you probably know how to do this already. Just be careful you don't cut through, because this metal here is not very thick. So you just drill these rivets out. This is a carbide, which is probably a little overkill. This drill bit's for drilling through some serious metal, thick hard metal. But you know what? No big deal. So then this piece just kind of pops right out. Very careful so you don't bend it. And part of the T-top holder. It's in very nice shape. I'll probably sand it down and repaint it, obviously. And then that leaves you with, you'll have to drill these just a little bit more behind it. Give those another little drill to kind of get them out of the way. So that way you can pop this off. Okay, so here we go. All the rivets are drilled, and just very carefully, I'm just gonna pop these out. It's nice and easy, just kind of. And there we have it. This one's out. You can see it's got some corrosion under there. We're gonna have to clean that up. We'll set this down. And you can see I got a lot of cleaning up to do here. A couple pinholes, we got some pinholes. We got this hole right here. So we're gonna do a little cutting here and make some, cut this in and cut some pieces of metal and fit them down in here. And like I said before, we're gonna body glue them in and then body work it. But all the holes are drilled. You can actually see It almost looks like this car originally started out as a hardtop, and then maybe at the factory they just cut this. You can see the seam of the metal, and then they riveted it. That's the only thing holding this. Oops, couple rivets right here, holding this down to the frame across the top of the roof there. So anyway, and I already did the other side. The other side's already off. I kind of wanted to show you a little bit of how I did it. Okay, so you can see a lot of corrosion up there on the front of these T-tops. Somebody tried to put some glue or epoxy on there, and they did a shitty job. Now it's all jacked up and corroded and shit. So you know what I did? I went to Harbor Freight the other day. I got no problem buying cheap tools. And I bought this little die grinder. I think it was like 10 or 12 bucks. And then this attachment to run these little screw pads in. Not much. I think that attachment was like another 4 bucks or something. And then $4 for a whole pack of these things. So I don't even have 20 bucks. Maybe I got $20 in this die grinder. But I think this will be a perfect little tool to grind all this right down real nice. I'm going to grind this down, and I think that'll put a nice smooth finish on this, so I can do some body work. So that'll be what's going on with the T-tops here. Get the shop back and clean all these metal shavings out, and then I can start taking all this rubber seal, the weather stripping out. The weather stripping on the bottom actually isn't half bad. It's actually still soft and pliable. And the only problem with it is, I don't know whether this was originally 2 pieces. It looks like 2 pieces because that looks like a whole different type of rubber than this. And maybe that's why the other side has separated. But this side is actually still in, well, it's pretty dry rotted. I'll probably replace it all if I can't replace one and not the other. So, but it's actually still pretty soft right here, believe it or not. So that part there, this will all get replaced. Like I told you before, I found a website, it's got all this stuff. So I think it's even got the foil that goes back over top of all the rivets. So once this is all done and painted, I'll rivet back. All this metal will be pop riveted back in. It'll be cleaned up. And you can see right here, because this is underneath of the Targa band, they just had this part of the frame painted black, and then they had some kind of tape. They just had a tape on there to probably to seal it, to keep the water out of it, keep the water from getting underneath it here. So we'll just we'll put that back together, and I'll put some tape, probably some vinyl, and that'll be good for that. All right, guys, well, we got a little bit of bad news. As I took the die grinder, stand up here on the door jamb, look at all these holes all the way across. So that's not pretty. All the way, both sides. The whole car is perfect except for this right across the top. I don't really understand what the heck happened here. Both sides. So looks like we got a little bit of metal repair to do. So I'm going to be cutting all this out and putting all new metal in here. So we've got to figure out what we're going to do there. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't get paid by Harbor Freight, but I wish I did. This little $20 worth of tool here, I got to tell you, it did a damn nice job. Now, you do have to have a big air compressor. And I will tell you, if you go buy this little, if you go buy this die grinder, go get yourself a $3 set of air. That thing is loud. So go right around the next aisle or two in Harbor Freight. These are like $3. You're gonna need them. So throw those on, do a little grinding. And so it looks like I'm gonna be doing a little cutting. And The nice thing about that little die grinder, I just changed the fitting on the end of it, and I got a little cutoff wheel too, which I have an electric cutoff wheel anyway, but I want to be delicate, so I want to cut real nice and precise. So I'm going to measure this all out and cut straight. I'm going to draw lines on here, draw lines that need cut, and this will I'll probably do it in sections, maybe, I don't know what the best, I'm not a professional body guy, I just do this for a hobby, but maybe I'll cut it in sections and do small pieces at a time. I don't really want to cut this whole thing out all at once and have that weak, I don't know. So I may end up having to drop the headliner so I can weld this in, because I don't want to burn that headliner. So we'll see how that goes. So next video you see, this is going to be done. I'll probably do that this week, both sides. So the next video, that'll all be done and ground down and body worked in. And trust me, I'm not just going to start gooing it up and filling it with putty. It's all going to be metal. It's all going to get metal put back in there and sand it down flush, and then body work whatever I need to do. The rest of it is in pretty good shape all the way around. I vacuumed it out a little bit, so that's pretty good. And also the next time, I found a original set of aluminum. They're either aluminum or steel, but they're metal louvers. And these louvers, actually, they're a little bit bigger than the window. So I literally am going to have to drill 2 holes into the back hatch lid. So those are actually going to be drilled into there. So I'll drill holes, and then when I put the screws in, they'll be sealed. I'll put some rubber gaskets on there so that don't leak. So both sides, that actually gets screwed into the car. And then on the bottom of these louvers, we have these little latches. One goes on this side, one goes on the other. And they literally go through. There's a hole here. And this actually screws down to the car. So I'll make sure these are all painted up real nice, cleaned up real nice. And then those will go there on both sides. There's this one and then one for the other side. And that's what holds the louvers down. So besides the front, then we'll have this one holding down in the back. So, I live out here in the country in northeast Ohio, so sometimes my wife and I, we just take a ride on some backcountry roads, and I'm driving down the road, and there's this old beat up piece of shit Mustang 2 sitting in this guy's, kind of like the side of his yard, and on the back of that car was these nice louvers. Now I sanded them down a little bit, and they're going to need repainted, but the rest of the car had a tree growing through it, and it was junk. But guess what? These louvers were perfect. There's nothing else, unfortunately, we're saving on the car. But so I knocked on the guy's door and I said, "How much you want for them louvers?" He said, $75. I said, "I gotta have them." I think $75. I've seen them on the internet go for $250, $300. So guy gave me these louvers for $75. I took them off the car. My feet were covered in mud, but it don't matter. It was all worth it. So I think that was a pretty good yard find there. You just don't see that every day, so I'm pretty pumped about the louvers. Also forgot to show you, on the other side, I took this window, this goes down for the targa band, where the targa band goes over top of the window. So I took these screws out, and let me tell you, they're in there, so you got to be very careful. You got to get a nice tip screwdriver, and you got to put some body weight into it. And if you don't have any ass, get somebody who does, because you don't want to strip them out. It'd be a bitch getting them. So I wanted to take this off, and you can see it's all corroded and rusty. So this is all going to get ground down and repainted, and so that's what it looks like underneath of there. So even if I wanted to eliminate the targa band, then I got to deal with this problem. I got to find find a piece of trim that maybe, it looks like here's a separate piece. So maybe off of a different Mustang, a hardtop. I'll have to go look at my 78. Maybe this is all one piece all the way to here. So, and then I was looking at my 78, I'll show you in a second. So I probably could eliminate this targa band if I wanted to, and then just get the louvers for the windows. Even if I do the targa band, I'm still gonna put the louvers, you know, from here, side louvers, but I'm pretty sure they make them this whole piece. And then this piece here, I'll take you over to the 78 and show you. It's just a little piece of trim just like this. So, and then we got all this garbage in here. So we'll get all that cleaned out. This is just a piece of vinyl on here. And this is rubber. So I took this piece off on both sides, and we're gonna get it cleaned up and painted, and then I'll decide whether I'm gonna put it back on. So here's my 78, and what we have is, you can see where the targa band would have went. This is just a piece of trim, so just a piece of stainless or aluminum, whatever this is. And so that really wouldn't be too hard to find, probably. Just find another regular hardtop Mustang. And you can see this trim, same as the other car. It starts here. Now this goes all the way, the whole door. Okay, so basically I could find the trim off of another one, and then, you know, just take it to here, and then just cut it where I need it, because this ends at the T-top anyway, and then the rest of the T-top part comes down and you'll cover that. So I'll just cut it here, end it, and I'll find another piece of this. So maybe I might do that, because I think it would look pretty cool without the targa band. And then I'll just, you know, finish off the holes that went across the top. And wow, look how dirty this thing is. I gotta wash it. I usually have a cover on it, but it's filthy dirty. You can see this crazy interior. It's one of those deals where the interior is so freaking ugly, it's actually kind of cool. Now also I have roll cage in this car too, just a 4-point, so it comes down and it goes to the back. And I put orange carpet on the floor, kind of to match the seats. So you know, everything in this car is all original as far as the door panels and the seats and everything. It's in pretty nice shape. It's got the leather wrapped steering wheel. The only thing this one doesn't have is the clock in the dash. And I'll show you the 78 over there has the clock. I'd like to find one and put in here. It's pretty neat option, I always thought. But you can see the back seats in this. It's got the orange on the hump. The back seats basically never even been sat in this car. You know, so it's in pretty nice shape. And then I've got the 4-point seatbelt harnesses in here. It's in pretty good shape. It's a 78 dash, so you can see this one's got the clock in it. This one's in really good shape too. It's just dirty right now, but that's the original factory radio. It's a AM/FM stereo. I wish it had a 8-track. My last 78 actually had an 8-track in it, which was pretty sweet. Believe it or not, I actually have some 8-tracks laying around just because they're cool. They're Kiss 8-tracks, and I'm a Kiss fan. So this also, this actually I don't believe this isn't the leather wrapped steering wheel. This one I think is rubber. So, but it's still in nice shape. But the horn, it's in good shape, the horn button, and that's a hard thing to find in a lot of times. So that's pretty cool. And the remote mirrors actually work. There's the controller for the one on the passenger, and then the controller for the one on the driver's is just hanging there because I took it apart. But everything still works. The dash pad doesn't have any cracks on it. That's what happens when you find a car that's been sitting inside of a garage for 30 years. Almost 30, 25 years. So